back today, the Positive Gains, and our special guest today is Arlene Blencowe. She's currently fighting in Bellator. She's got quite the impressive resume. She's now training at Jackson's at the moment, coming fresh off a fight with Chris Cyborg. Arlene, thanks for joining this morning.
All right, thanks for having me on.
So with MMA, excuse me, I ask a lot of people why they got started into it. A lot of people tell me they were maybe wayward and needed some guidance, or it was turned into a hobby and then became a lifestyle / job for them. But for you, why did you get started in MMA?
Well, MMA came off my the back of my boxing career. So yeah, I probably started boxing for the same sorts of reasons you just mentioned. But I started MMA back in 2013. I was a professional boxer at the time, and there really wasn't much happening in my career. I won my 2 world titles early 2012. And then after that, I sort of had a bit of a stalemate with, not having any opponents and not competing. And so my coach at the time suggested that, I start incorporating some wrestling and jiu-jitsu into my training just to mix things up, because anyone that's a boxer or done boxing training for a long period of time knows just how repetitious and mundane some of the training can be. It was also the start of the Ronda Rousey era too. MMA females and women in MMA was sort of on that up, and it interested me. I had my first fight, and then I sort of was hooked after that.
Okay. And you kind of touched on it with the Ronda Rousey era. A lot of the females now are getting more recognition, and I feel like at times a lot of the women will put on, say, shows, but they will go in there and just start wreaking havoc. A lot of the times the fights are more exciting than some of the men's fights. But anyway, so you've been with Bellator since 2014. What's been your proudest moment in Bellator so far?
I've had a lot along the way. Obviously, I hold the record for the fastest finish. That's pretty cool to have, the fastest female stoppage. Even though I actually only put a post up the other day, that probably wasn't my greatest performance, even though it only lasted 22 seconds. I still find flaws in it. It's an honor to have, stepped inside the cage with Chris and fought for the Bellator world title. Even my debut fight, I've touched base on that a few times. My record wasn't crash hot when Bellator first signed me. I was on 5 wins and 4 losses. I was a 2-time world boxing champion, but they saw something in me. They believed in me. They gave me the opportunity to hit the international stage, when other promotions probably wouldn't have. And so to be able to fly over and represent Australia and fight here in America for my debut fight, that was one that I'd never forget.
So what's that experience like when when you fight like now, and you're away from your country, and you make your walk, and there people are chanting your name, and then they say where you're from? What's that experience like, knowing that you're representing your country?
Well, that's what it all started for with me. Like my boxing career, the goal was to make the Australian Olympic team and represent Australia at the London Olympics. I didn't succeed in that goal, but my fight career sort of changed paths, and in the end, here I am representing Australia. Every time I step inside the ring or step inside the cage, that's why I'm a proud Australian. I'm the Aussie girl Anger Fist, and you'll always see me flying the flag high. And it's a really like I said, I am a proud Australian, and it's an honour to be able to represent Australia on the world stage.
And what is something that, because we hear a lot of glitz and glam about fighting and just a lot of good, but what are some of the bad, the downfall? Obviously being away from your family, sometimes the rigorous training, I'd imagine. What are some things that you don't look forward to?
Well, it's not that I guess I don't look forward to it. Like, I try not to put a negative spin on anything. I try and find the positives. Like, here I am sitting in a motel room, 20 hours away from my family, and I'll be away from them for the next sort of 2 months. So, that's something that as a mother and a partner, it's hard for me, to leave them, but it's what's needed to be done to, obviously succeed in my career and sort of pave the way for what we want as our family as well, like my successes. So, but in saying that, I'm away from for 2 months, but here I am in Albuquerque training with some of the best fighters in the world, the best coaches in the world, and doing what I love. The training's vigorous. It's Sunday here. After this, I'm about to go for like a long, slow run. But yeah, it's hard on the body. I'm 38 years old, and I was only having this conversation with Holly the other day, like what we're both doing as women at our age and at our level, competing and training and go, like she trains hard too, extremely hard. And, we're not young, but we're keeping up with the young ones. And it's cool. Like, it's cool to be able to sort of sit here and say what I'm doing, as a woman who's a bit older, as a mother. It's cool. So.
Do you feel that gives you more of an edge? Because, sometimes some of the younger fighters don't have maybe that family background, with a partner or a child yet. Do you feel like that gives you more of not an incentive, but more of a chip on your shoulder, knowing that, you go home to a family at night?
Not really a chip on my shoulder, but I mean, I started training when both my kids were little. My youngest was still in nappies when I first started boxing. So, for me to be at the gym training, it was time. Like, I've always looked at it that it's time away from them, or it was time away from them. So I was at the gym and, I was giving 110%. It made me focus. Like, every session counted. It wasn't just going through the processes. And, it's the same here. I'm sacrificing these next few months away from my family. So I'm not here to mess around. I'm here to give 110% for every training session, get as much training as I can, and make the most of it. So, and that's the mindset that I've had with my whole career. Is, I'm making big sacrifices as a mother. My family have had to sacrifice a lot. I make every session count. And I mean, that's not to say that the young people coming through don't do that too. But yeah, I focus on what I do, and that's give it everything.
So training, now you're training at Jackson's. Any I think casual MMA fan to the extremists know about Jackson's and the talent that is now produced there, the talent that's been there. I mean, like you said, you're going in there and you're going with some of the best in the world. So how did that come about, ending up in Albuquerque?
I've been to Albuquerque now a few times. So the first time I trained here was January 2016. So that was just after Holly had beaten Ronda. I think she beat her, was it November the following year, the previous year. I'd actually had a fight the previous year too, and the coaches from Jackson's were at that fight with another fighter, and they watched my performance, and my wrestling was appalling. I remember getting taken down a few times, and my defense was terrible in it, and the coach Chad, the wrestling coach, came up to me and he's just like, oh hi, and he introduced himself, and and he offered for me to come over and train, and I spoke to Greg Jackson as well, and I sat back and I was like, you know what, I can I headed over there for a month back in 2016 and got some training in, and then it was an awesome experience. It was just part of exactly what I needed at that time in my career, getting ready to sort of step up to that next level. And then I was back here early last year. Unfortunately, I had to cut the trip short because the pandemic started.
Yeah.
So it was, COVID had just started, and I flew over here, and obviously no one really knew the extent of the virus or what it was going to do to the world. And I was sort of between minds, so I thought, oh, maybe I'll just stay over here and train. And because we knew in March last year that obviously I was going to be fighting Cyborg, and so I thought I may as well just stay over here and get as much training as I can. But then obviously the news and everything made it worse. So I cut my trip short and came home, and I guess lucky I did, because then the world shut down.
Yeah. So I have a feeling where it'll go, but so when you're not fighting, who are some of your favorites to watch? I'd imagine they'll probably, your answer might be towards Jackson's, but anybody, any division? Who do you like watching?
I think I've just lost you there. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the internet just cut out and you were
Oh,
okay. So
okay.
what was that question?
I was saying, when you're not fighting, who are some of the fighters that you like watching? Any division, anybody that you like out there.
Um, I was a particularly big fan of Khabib's style. Obviously, me coming from a striking background, I just loved watching, obviously, his control and his pressure and wrestling. One of my teammates, Alex Volkanovski, I've always said if I could mirror any fighter, it would be him, just because of the way he is, like his gas tank is never ending. And after obviously training with him and seeing what he's like, I don't think there is an end to his stamina, but he just goes from striking to taking shots to kicking. Like he just is, you just don't know what's really coming. But yeah, I love watching the females too. Obviously, as a female, I'm a big fan of Rose Namajunas. A lot of the females, like strikers. But yeah, just watching. Obviously, like you touched base earlier, females. Well, thanks to Ronda Rousey, she paved the way for us females following after her to be able to. I mean, we've just had Michelle Waterson come off a 5-round main event fight, and critics were sort of downplaying the fact that the girls should have got that, and then they were all shocked because it was such a good fight. Like it was such a good back and forth fight, which it was no surprise to me because both fighters are awesome fighters. So, but yeah, to be honest, early in my career I wasn't watching a lot of fights. It's only really been the last couple of years that I'm watching more and more and just picking up bits and pieces that I like style wise from certain fighters and
And so when you get in there, do you have a preference on how a fight ends? Obviously, you want the win, but some people say they want a knockout, submission. How do you prefer a fight to end, assuming you get the win?
Yeah, preferably definitely a stoppage. Leaving fights to judges' scorecards is very in my fight career, both with boxing and MMA. I've come up short when decisions could have gone my way, but in the end, I guess it's been my fault that I've let it go to the judges' scorecards.
And what advice that do you wish you would have gotten, like maybe earlier in your career? Obviously, people go through things and you learn more as you go. Is there something that you've learned now that you wish you would have known back then?
It really been the last 3 years that I've coaching and working on that side of my trade. You could be in a condition, prepared the best you can, but if you're not mentally there or mentally switched on or mentally prepared, it can really affect your performance, and it has for me over the years. So yeah, that's one area. And just having, like, I've always been really lucky that I've had good coaches and training partners over the years, but quality over and I say it to a lot of the new people coming through, train from the morning all the way through the night, as many sessions and hours and that, but yeah, quality as I've been pretty lucky. It happens the same years, but I'm lucky that the last few years I put a really big focus on my recovery, and it's definitely prolonged my career. I'm 38 and training like the house down, but if I wasn't doing what I did with recovery, there's no way my body would be able to hold up.
Great advice for anybody out there. And lastly, so what's next for you? I know the pandemic is, I don't want to say in control, but things are starting to open up a little bit more. So what do you got going on heading into the latter part of 2021 into next year?
Yeah, well, we're having a little bit of a late start, unfortunately. I had big plans for 2021. I'm coming off a loss last year to Chris, and Losses with me have always done really, really good things with my career. It puts me back online. So, the last time I lost before Chris was back in 2017 to Julia Budd. Mm-hmm. And then I came back with, 3 back-to-back wins, 2 stoppages. It realigns me. I'm in a really, really good mental state. I was straight after that fight. So I've been training hard since the beginning of the year. I was hoping to get back in the cage earlier, but just trying to organize things with Bellator and find an opponent that's willing to sort of jump in with me. But we've all but signed a contract for a fight, so that's why I'm here in Albuquerque now. I'll get a good 8-week camp here. Originally, when I flew over, I thought it was only going to be a few weeks, and then it turned into 6 weeks, and now it's an 8-week camp. But again, I always looked at the positives. 8 weeks at one of the best camps in the world, if not the best camp in the world. I feel bad saying that because I obviously train at all different gyms and stuff and have the best coaches back at home. But Jackson, they've produced the most champions, and so just spent 8 weeks here. Living, training, breathing, being a professional athlete without any of the distractions at home. That's going to give me one of the best camp.
Right. Arlene, I appreciate you coming on today. Good luck to you and enjoy Albuquerque. I personally have been there one time. I wish I could go back and really venture out. I know that you've been venturing out. I've seen you on Instagram kind of exploring the city. Yeah. So, good luck to you.
Full time of year here too, because
Oh, go ahead.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, we were cutting out a little bit.
Services cutting.
But good luck to you. You're welcome back on anytime. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.